D&D is fun. Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't played it a whole lot, but so far it's been fun. But when I was first a DM, Dungeon Master, it kind of sucked because, you have to roll dice a whole lot, right? Like, ooh, they're being encountered with, say, 7 goblins, and I need to roll initiative. I roll a die, I write it down, roll, write, and I thought that was really, you know, tedious. And recently, when I was basically forced to be DM again, I was like, otherwise known as death groan. So I thought, why not I make a tiny little language to help me out? So I thought I would show that to you, or at least what I have so far. It's pretty lame, uh, because I can't come up with good names. It's called D and Dow, for Dungeons and Dragons automation language. I didn't have enough time to implement monster management, even though there probably won't be a whole lot. As you can see, it's like a REPL thing. So let me show you what you can do with the language right now. Let me get out my handy dandy piece of paper which has all the grammar for the language so I can remember what the hell you can do. Um, I wrote this language in Python. It's an interpreted language, and if you guys want me to go through and show you how I wrote it and all that, just tell me, even though no one's going to watch this. So let's get going. What if I wanted to roll a die, right? I would type out roll and then a D and then your number. So it'd be like a D20 or something. And that means your dice has 20 sides. So if I roll that, I get a 17. Cool. You can see that it's random. Yeah. Um, but say I had a group of monsters and I wanted a bunch of numbers, right? Because it's like I need to roll initiative and I don't really want to roll a die and then have to keep rolling over and over again a bunch of separate times when I can just do it in one go and just be done with it, right? In that case, I would type out roll D and then the sides for my dice, in this case D20, and then I would say roll dice number of times. In this case, let's say I had 4 enemies, so I wanted to roll the dice 4 times. I would type out roll d20 4 times. I hope that makes sense. I press enter, and you see I get a list of 4 elements. Each one is a separate number generated by quote unquote rolling a d20. And of course, this could be any sort of sided die. It could be a d6, and yeah, but the thing I like about this language that I developed here is you can roll imaginary dice. For example, a D0. It just gives you a 0 all the time, or a D1. It gives you 1 all the time. Or say I wanted to do something like, here, let me exit out. I'm stupid because I typed out the wrong thing. Say, okay, yeah, so I can roll imaginary dice, and it could be totally arbitrary, like roll D, that's not a number, a D100, right? And I can do that a couple times. So that's cool. That's cool. But you might be thinking to yourself, what if, like, I'm attacking a monster or something like that, and I need to roll, say, 2D6s and take the sum of that, right? So I roll 2 times with a D6, and I add those two numbers together, and that's my damage. In that case, you can use the command called fold. And the parentheses in this language don't do anything, it's just for clarity. I'll do fold, roll, let's say d6, 2 times, right? What this will do is it will roll a d6 2 times, make a list of those rolls, and it'll get fed into the fold command, which will take the sum of all the elements in the list and return that integer result, which gives me 6. So obviously, I got 2 3s. 8, two fours maybe, or a 6 and a 2 or something. 4, 8, 9, 6, 8, 4, 8, 3, 10. Cool. Hey, that's kind of neat. You might be thinking to yourself, That's kind of cool. Yeah. What if, let me propose another thing to you. What if I had two lists? The first list being a bunch of initiative rolls for a bunch of different monsters. And what I want to do is I want to add their initiative modifiers. Like you might have -1, so you subtract 1 to whatever you roll, something like that. What I can do to do that, that's really stupid of me to say, is I can use the merge command. It takes two lists as input, two or more lists rather, and it goes through each element in all the corresponding lists, takes the sum of those elements, and puts that in the corresponding spot in a new list. So to illustrate, I'm going to make a custom list. So this is a great way for you to show how to make custom lists, and that would be with the file command. And this just lets you make your own list of values. So say file 0, 1, 5, 10, and 14. And to end off that list, you type out end. And to denote that I'm going to be supplying another value, I use a semicolon, and this is for the merge command, remind you. And I'm going to make a new list of values. And let's say -1, 2, 10, and -8. Yeah, sure, why not? So we should, whatever. We should get a new list, and just from looking at the first two elements, we should get -1 and 3. And then 15, and, oh, sugar. Oh no, this is okay. So in the second list, you might see that we have one element, we're one element short from being equal to the other one. In this case, we will just add a 0 at the end and we'll just get 14 in the new list, if I remember how I programmed it. Yeah, you see, we didn't have a value for the 14, so we just got 14 back. So 0 was assumed. But we got -1, 3, 15, 2, and 14. Yeah, and again, you can do 2 or more values for the merge command. That's pretty cool, you're saying to yourself, maybe, or you could just be saying, that's pretty lame, Alistair, shut up. Yeah, I catch your drift. What else can you do with this language right now? You can, so you know how when you do a roll command, like say roll a d5, you get a single value? What if I wanted to roll like a d6 and then, it's like for my attack roll or something, I have to roll a d6 and then add 12 or something. And you're like, it's a single value, it's not a list, how do I do that? And how would I even add a value to a list? Well, I'll show you, my good pal. We'll use fold again to take the sum of all the elements. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in the command, append, which will take a list as the first argument and a value as the second, and it'll add that value to the end of the list. I'm pretty sure it only accepts integer values, if I remember correctly. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll a d1, and that's just so we get the value 1, so it's predictable. And at the end of that, we're going to add the number 42. So at the end of the day, we should get the number 43. And I get an error because I was stupid and I did something wrong. Cool. Oh, I know exactly why. Ha 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 ha. And now you're like, Alistair, what happened there, you silly goose man? Well, let's back. We'll get to that in a second. So remember how I said that just a single D, like roll D8 roll, will give you only a number? I was being stupid. If I wanted this to be part of a list so I can add values to the end of it, I should have used the command list. And now you can see that this puts the number 1 inside of a list, which is shown by it being in brackets. And you can see this is just the value 1. Hopefully that's more clear to you. So if I go back to our previous command, and here we'll go back to this, what we're going to do right before the roll command is we're going to type in list. And I'm just going to close that in parentheses to make things more clear. So what's going to happen is we're going to roll a D1 and get 1, and then we're going to use the list command, which will put the number 1 inside of a list. Then we will add the value 42 to the end of that list. So we should get a list that is 1, 42. Look at that, we do. So now that we know how to add values to the end of a list and how to make an integer be a part of a single list with the list command, now we can use the fold command, which will take the sum of all the elements and should give us 43. And would you look, Bob's your uncle? Yeah, for 43. It only took me being stupid and forgetting how to type in my own gosh darn language to remember about the list command. Cool. What other commands do we have? That's almost all of them. The only one that we have left is called the repeat command. What's a repeat command? I'll bring up a scenario where this might be helpful. Say I have like 4 goblins, right? And again, I'm rolling for initiative. If you haven't guessed already, I made this language just really to help with initiative rolls and things like that, because that was really tedious for me. So say I have like 4 goblins, right? And I've rolled initiative 4 separate times, and I want to apply their initiative modifier or something like that. And let's say it's -1. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but let's say it's -1. So I need to subtract 1 from each element of the list. And that means I have to use a merge command. And I could just do, -1, -1, -1, -1 for 4 goblins, right? That would work with a merge command. Or I could use the repeat command. So I could do repeat the value -1 4 times. This will give me a list that has 4 elements, each of those elements only being -1. There you go, and that's exactly the same. So what I can do, I'm going to close this bad boy in parentheses, and I'm going to use the merge command, put in a semicolon just before I screw up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to construct a personal list, and I'm going to go 1, 20, 17, and 5. Okay, so I should get 0, 19, 16, and 4 as the resulting list. And I'm freaking stupid. Ah, goodness gracious me. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with my own goddamn language. I forgot the end command for the file keyword. There. Now that worked. You know what this makes me think? This makes me think that I might have to go through and change some of the syntax. Yeah? I mean, this already makes me think of a Lisp language, but maybe for a list, it should actually use parentheses. Maybe parentheses should be important. I don't know. But again, this is just the first version of my language. Yeah. Again, if you guys want me to show you how I actually wrote the language in Python, and again, that makes it terribly slow because Python's an interpreted language, but I don't care. But if you want me to show you that, just tell me, I guess. But yeah, hope you enjoyed me screwing up in my own language and showing you a project that I wrote in like one night. I hope you all have a wonderful night or day or whatever. And I hope you don't crash your systems. See ya.